Welcome to the show, Dan. How is it going today, man?
It's going well. I
Yeah,
can't
always
complain too
always
much.
fun part of opening up the show with, hey, what to say? I always like to say, what's the weather? And I know you're in New York, so what is it like up there right now?
Right now it's high 40s and cloudy.
Yeah. Hey, let the listeners know a little bit, Dan, about where you started and where you're at now professionally.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Brett, for having me on. My background was not originally in real estate, it was in finance. So I went to Indiana University, where I was pursuing a degree in accounting and finance. And at the time, Indiana, and they still do offer this program, but they call it a 3+2 program. So you finish up undergraduate in 3 years with an accounting degree. And then you go straight into business school. And while you're in business school, you could sit for your CPA. And so that seemed really attractive to me. And what it also allowed me to do was try out a bunch of different internships. And I was in business school, I was able to get an internship doing wealth management in New York. I then had an internship in Vietnam
Oh,
doing
wow.
strategic consulting for a startup company. And then I also had an internship in San Francisco with KPMG doing transaction services. And it was almost through trying all these different things that I realized I wanted to go into an industry or a job that I was pushing myself. So I ran towards the 100-hour work week. I saved up a good amount of money. I called my cousin, who is the M in EM Capital, so that partner you were talking about a little bit
Mhm.
earlier. And he was working on Wall Street for the past 10 years doing equity research. And so I said, look, I have this pile of money. I've been expensing all my meals. I haven't been going out because I've been working so much, and I just got my first bonus. I want to do something in real estate because from taking my CPA exams, I knew about some of the tax advantages. And he mentioned that there was this opportunity in single family, and this was back in 2020. We wanted to invest in single family real estate. I was in Chicago, he was in New York, and neither of us found those markets extremely exciting. However, from that 5 years at IU and flying into the Indianapolis airport 3, 4 times a year every year, I saw firsthand how much that city was growing and all the different initiatives that had come to life by the time I graduated. And so we ran that supply and demand analysis that we did in the US for single family homes, but double clicked into the Indianapolis market. It was almost like a eureka moment in terms of this is what we want to attack. And so we bought our first home using a traditional real estate broker. Then after we acquired it, hired a property manager, and they just had different incentives. They would give us different information. And, from my end, I wanted to work with one person. And I wanted to be the client that they thought about in the shower in the morning. And when they woke up, got into the shower, I want them to be thinking of Danner. We've grown from one property in Indianapolis to now 15 properties across Indianapolis, Birmingham.
I guess talk to us a little bit about that structure and how you structure deals. Do you raise capital from other investors still to put all of this stuff together? So just give us a summary of what it looks like now at EM Capital.
Yeah, so at first it was just my cousin and I's money. And I think we were really smart to do that. And I would
Uh-huh.
suggest to anyone that's looking to raise money that you should play with your own money first, because there,
Hmm.
there were a few mistakes we made. When we started raising money, the way that we've structured the fund is we've looked to raise, call it 100 to 250,000 at once. And this allows us to buy 2 to 3 homes in the $250,000 price range. And so we were taking raised capital, purchasing properties through the fund, and on our side, the GP investment, we end up giving some of that equity to local real estate professionals based off of how many months they collect rent.
Mhm.
So, if they collect 60 months of rents, they're fully vested in terms of their equity bonus. If they collect 30 months of rent, they're only 50% vested in terms of their equity bonus. And so we aligned our incentives where the person that's giving us the assumptions, the broker, for underwriting the deal, they need to hit those numbers.
Yeah, it's all about the acquisition. And then after the acquisition, right, in order to really nurture the value, get as much of this deal as you can out. It's about knowing the process, knowing which loan product, the relationships you build with people who offer different loan products, knowing the process as well too, to really milk the opportunity out of these deals.
No, I think it's what we look for is low-hanging fruit in terms of any value add. So, we're happy to paint the inside or lay down LVP flooring. Those are really easy things in order to juice the value. And they're not necessarily risky. What we tend to avoid is anything that's structurally unsound. Anything that would require above, call it 10% of purchase price towards CapEx. And that's just been more so us being disciplined in terms of knowing what we know and knowing what we don't know. Neither of us come from a background of being general contractors. And while I think that there's a lot of value to being able to control that appreciation like you're talking about by being in charge of renovations, there's also a lot of academic studies and research that show the risk-adjusted returns are actually a little bit lower for value add deals than turnkey deals.
What's been the biggest challenge so far for you, Dan, in building the portfolio?
I think remaining patient. So neither of us came from a background that was directly covering real estate. And when I first started this, it was a great time to raise money. But I wanted to be patient in terms of making sure that the properties we're buying, we were very confident on what the returns would look like, because early on, one bad deal would have crushed us or sank us. And so I wasn't as aggressive in terms of raising money when I first left. And then May of 2022 hit, rates started increasing, the tech market, crypto, things like that really started to bottom, and people were a little bit tighter with their wallets. And so when we were finally ready to start going out and raising money and raise money, people were almost calling for this housing crash. 2008, 2009 wasn't that long ago, and a lot of people told us what comes up must come down. And 2020, 2021 saw significant growth in single family appreciation.